Thank you, Ravi. Good evening, President Ravi, Secretary Gargi, my dear Rotarians. It's my pleasure to introduce my good friend, my mentor, and my well-wisher, Santosh Neelangatil, to all of you. Santosh is Namma Uru Huduga, born and brought up in Bangalore, did his schooling at St. Xavier's, and then later moved on to do his engineering at MVIT. After his engineering, he worked as a quality engineer with Genesis Technologies for 4 odd years, but his passion always was to work and interact with students. After a brief stint in the corporate world, he started Merit Higher Education in 1999, where he counsels and advises students opting for higher education abroad to enhance their skills and acquire an education and focus on particular specializations which would give rise to global opportunities. Santosh is a fitness enthusiast and is a proud ultra marathoner. He has completed his Malnad Ultra 50 kilometers a few years ago. He was my inspiration for me to start running a couple of years back, and together we have done the Mumbai Marathon, the Kochi Marathon, the Pondicherry Marathon, and wish to do many more in future. One interesting thing that I would like to share about Santosh is that he has a tattoo on his calf muscle. And every time he finishes a marathon, he gets a line tattooed on his calf muscle so that he doesn't lose count of how many runs he has done. Family front, he is married to Jennifer and has two adorable daughters, Sonia and Sneha, and a son, Simba, his 2-year-old Shih Tzu. Today, Santosh will be talking to us about how the pandemic has changed the whole education system around the globe and what is the way forward. Dear Rotarians, I present to you Mr. Santosh Neelangatil.
Thank you, Swaroop. Swaroop was asking me for my bio introduction, and I said, no, I'm not going to give it. Let me see how you talk about me. I didn't realize you even were going to explore something about my tattoo on the leg, but thank you so much, Swaroop. Good evening to all the Rotarians and the guests at Rotary Club of Bangalore Cantonment. At the outset, I think you must please accept my salute as a part of all the Rotarians, I think, for the kind of selfless services y'all are doing to the community around the world. Thank you so much. I think y'all are doing a fantastic job in this under the banner Rotary International Rotary Club. Thank you to the program chair, Swaroop, President Ravi, Honorary Secretary Gargi, and the entire Rotarians at the Rotary Club of Bangalore Cantonment for giving me this opportunity to share my views of what I believe that we need to work on at this point in time of a challenging situation that we are all facing. But while I'm talking today to you, I'm speaking to you based on a certain background, based on 20 years of my experience in this domain as an education consultant, and personally as a parent to two of my daughters, as Swaroop introduced, Sonia and Sneha. Sonia's pursuing her undergraduate degree in UIUC, in a university in the United States, and my younger one is in class 8. So as a parent, as an entrepreneur, and as an educational consultant, there are some things that I believe that we need to all work on a common front, because currently this particular situation, what we are in, the challenges that we are in, has affected, as I've mentioned earlier in my introduction, the young, the old, the rich and the poor, the presidents, the chief ministers, the pushcart vendors, the millionaires, the CEOs, all of them have been affected. The students have been affected. Situations have been, we're all in a common platform currently. So there is something that we need to work on together. And like there's an old saying that it says like every drop of water in the ocean makes a difference. I think we have to bring in our front, pull up our socks, try to get in that confidence to come out of this, the fear that some of us have, or most of us have, or the confusions that we have at this point in time. So I'm talking this based on a lot of my personal professional data, and the information that I'm going to render out today, the data that I'm going to talk about today, have been collected from various consulate offices, various official websites of universities, government sites, and of course the New York Times and the Economic Times informations. Something for us to understand. As of today, as of not today, as of 2 days ago, 20th April, the information says 141 million people have been tested positive on this COVID-19 virus. We have lost about 3.01 million precious lives in this world to this deadly virus. There are about 515 million. On a positive side, if you look at it from the time that it's been detected, there are about 515 million people who have taken their first dose or the first shot of the vaccine to fight this deadly virus. And I think amongst us, we have Swaroop here, who's got his shot today, his first shot today. And there are about 212 million people who've got fully vaccinated to fight against this virus. Now, you might be wondering, Santosh, you've been invited to speak about education. Why are you giving me these numbers? These numbers say that this entire population, which has got vaccinated until date today, is only 6.6% of the global population. So if we need protection against this, the World Health Organization says if we need to fight this immunity, we need 60% of us to have been immune to fight against this population. It takes a lot amount of time. So if you ask me today, why this number? This is to let you know that most of us are sitting in a fear shell. I think President Ravi very clearly mentioned just before the talk that there are some of the senior citizens are hesitating to step out. So when this kind of a situation comes, there are multiple variants that are coming out in the world. It started out with Brazil, it been with UK, and now they are calling one of the most deadliest variants to be the Indian variant currently. I mean, at least the ones that they're saying current. So last year when we were all asked to stay at home, I think a lot of us became yoga experts and breathing experts and things like that. So there is a whole lot of jokes on the WhatsApp that's happening, that we've all become so expert that it's now directly hitting our lungs. So we're breathing so good that it's hitting our lungs. So there is a way that we have to fight this. And one way, of course, governments, policymakers, health organizations, social support systems like Rotary, people like you all are doing a fantastic outreach to trying to encourage people while you're doing a great job. There is something that's psychologically sitting behind people trying to protect themselves by not working on their respective careers. They fear that any amount of investment that they invest today is probably not going to give that kind of fruit that they expect. Because most of us try to convert our rupee to dollar, euro, pound, whatever, to see our recovery. But what what the world has seen today, this fear factor from 2019 or probably to 2020 of March in India and a little earlier in the world market, what we have seen is a downfall of a complete number of businesses. Over 90% of the businesses are affected. 90% of medium and small scale industries have been big time affected into this situation that we are in today. And the remaining 8 to 10% that we are considering are either medical institutions or certain software firms, which are actually blessed at this point in time because they geared up with a certain situation. But most of us are under a challenge. And surprisingly, the data that says around 54, I'm taking this data from here, it says around 54% of the global firms have reported that their current loss is not because of anything else. It's not because of finance. It's not because of no clientele. It's not because of no venture capitalists coming in forward. There is money in the market. But they're saying the concern is because there is no skilled or talent that is skilled manpower, skilled talent shortage. I'm underlining the word skill. There is no shortage of talent. There's shortage of skilled talent. People have refused to upgrade. People are fearing, they want to stay back and not do anything much. Universities across, because I'm talking from the university perspective. The last year's academic entry, universities suffered close to about 90%, 90% of shortage of admission. So much so that a few universities around the world had difficulties because some of the universities, say for example, my daughter is in University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. UIUC's yearly operating budget is $2 billion. It's not small money. So if you look at some of the tier 1 schools around the world, their operating costs got hit terribly. And we are looking at just one nation, United States of America, which has 4,000 accredited universities, 4,000 accredited institutions, with even a thumb rule of an average operating balance of 1 billion. Can we imagine the kind of volume of operating cost and the businesses that they're suffering? And that's not because they didn't have the material to deliver. It's not because they didn't have the source to deliver. Most universities offered online support systems. Most universities offered, but we didn't want to take in that step, primarily because we realized I'm spending in dollar, and why would I sit in rupees and try to look at a return on investment? The return on investment for many of us was not very strong because our return on investment that we see is not beyond 3 years. We are not looking at a return on investment for 10 years. So if I look at my mathematics and try to talk to people, I would say if you build a house or if you buy a car, your return on investment or your payback time is a minimum 5 years. And if it's a home, it's about 10 to 15 years. So how can you expect an education, which is an intellectual investment, to get a return on investment in 2 to 3 years? That's only when you see $1 is 75 rupees, 1 pound is 100 rupees. The moment we look at $1 equals 1 rupee, this will be recoverable in the world market as long as we decide we have to invest in our skill and not in the dollar or a foreign exchange investment of ourselves in the market. I know it is easy for me to say, but Swaroop knows this for the fact. It was a very difficult decision because this is something that I've been speaking to students pre-pandemic that do not invest in the dollar or the euro or the pound. I'm sure Ravi sir also has had this conversations with me earlier, long time back. It's all about intellectual investment. It's about how you invest in a certain source and try to see, even if you have to, for a good reason, come back to India, your return on investment should be a long term and not a short term. And as a as to see what I can practice to what I preach, I've been want to let you all know that I had let my daughter go out during this pandemic to a university in the United States of America. So I believe what I am preaching in this entire system. The number again says 36 out of 44 countries that have been participated or taken reports on informations say that they are running short of skilled talent to handle the current situation, skilled talent to attend to a clientele that requires the present situation's requirement. They're saying the skill shortage is 30. I mean, I'm saying 36 out of 44 countries have said that they're having skill shortage when compared to 2018. So this is the situation that we are in. So how are we going to address this? One, of course, because my interest is with the student community. But before I address the student community and tell you how the universities and the countries have responded to this current situation, let me tell you how we need to address this situation. I'm sure we have mid-level management people. We have, because world over, the way the client expectation, the customer expectation, consumer expectations, corporate expectations, governance expectations have all changed. Because we do not know. Each one of us are right now a little behind. We are a little obsolete when compared to what the world expects out of us tomorrow. The way retail market has turned out has become very different from what it used to be in 2018. The consumer market, the industrial, the production, simple things like how an organizations like ours, like what we are in today. I mean, I would have loved to have that personal presence to stand and be around amongst we all. Today, we are all in an online meeting. So all of these has changed, which means to connect this, to facilitate this, and to take it further from here, and to get prepared for a situation. We need to learn. We need to educate ourselves, because today it is COVID-19. God forbid there should not be a situation, but then God forbid there is a time in 2023 if something different comes out from a different nation or a different origin. Are we going to delay this further? We have to move forward, and this is a word that each one of us should spread. And I'm sure all of y'all are already, I can't use the word positive because today the term positive is very negative. So we all should be confident. Let me change. We all should be confident about how we are going to encourage others to be thinking progressively. One aspect of an entrepreneur like me or Swaroop or people around at a senior management, we need to understand the fresh case studies, understand learn from various platforms, because today it's a little difficult for us to go back into a campus life, considering our commitments and our experiences in the industry. But still we have opportunities to learn. And our learning starts from facilitators like Coursera online certifications and short courses that are available for us to learn, understand management and technology requirements around in the world. But that's for of senior people. But what is happening here is the seniors refuse to learn. People like me are putting up saying, no, I don't want to. I don't want to learn anything further because I want to now sit and only deliver, but I do not want to learn, and then I become obsolete next year. So today it's important for me to keep myself abreast. It is important for me to get recertified to understand what are the newer technologies and skills that are required. So I need to be certified as a counselor in an association to understand the newer skills that is required in the future technologies. Otherwise, I'll be obsolete. I will not be able to understand the student requirements. For us, it is important to get engaged in a short courses. But what is happening in the other vendors, we do not do so. Students who are fresh graduates, who are coming out of the university, who have fear of investing into a university academics, are currently depending on Coursera, or I'm using the names, pardon me for this, Coursera or the current IPL sponsors, Unacademy, and all of those online platforms, smaller courses which are free courses. They are spending time on free courses. No, that's good. That's good for talent development, but that is not good for a fresh graduate. A fresh graduate has to have a hands-on experience. These courses are for people who have a very strong hands-on experience. This is for people like you and me who are in the market and who've had strong hands-on experience for us to upgrade our talent. But the young mind has to invest in a campus experience. And how are these possible? And why is it required? Because for the world cycle or the system to continue, it is important because universities will not survive, academic researchers will not survive, government funds expected to be given to these high operating universities, because each of these universities have an average 500 600 acres of real estate to manage, along with about 4,000 5,000 teaching staff and others to manage. I'm talking of a full-fledged large-scale universities around the world. For them to manage and for them to survive, if they do not survive and we do not invest in the university academic, they will not survive. And if they do not survive, then the quality of education will go down. And when the quality of education goes down, then the skilled talent will come down. So we'll again go back to the trial and error system, which we've been probably. So it's a reverse. So it's a catch-22 situation for us to go forward and think progressive. So the young minds have to compulsorily invest in campus and university education. Universities and countries have come forward. If you've seen through the recent development, I think UK has declared red alert for Indian travel. They did the immediate announcement of red alert, and within hours after releasing this red alert system, they came with a small correction: students exempted. That's a clear indication. That's a clear indication that the governments want manpower. The governments want skilled manpower or skilled talent into their university environment, followed by the industry. So my voice to the young and to ambassadors like you who are talking to the young mind is to see and tell them not to what do I say, not to cocoon themselves and pause themselves into the learning environment. On the other hand, be aggressive. But while you're aggressive, don't be either of the ways. while you should not cocoon, I'm against the fact that you don't keep quiet, you don't silence yourself or mute yourselves from an entire calendar year, because you're expected to answer to this anytime whenever you're going to a human resource interview. I'm sure a lot of y'all in the corporate will want to know the kind of talent that you're going to recruit the next year is actually active during this challenging times. You may not want to recruit a person who has been inactive during this period, trying to sit in a place without making a development. You'd rather see how much of involvement has this person had during this period, and what kind of activities have you done to upskill yourselves during this period. That's one. But while you do so, don't go over aggressive through this entire exercise, and invest or in the old like the old saying goes, don't put all the eggs into a single basket. So try and explore opportunities, and engage yourselves. If you're unable to get into a university environment, engage yourself into internships, engage yourselves into small research and development within the academic environment that you come from. So suppose you are from an undergraduate degree in an Indian environment, try and engage with your professors. I'm sure a lot of them will be more than happy to engage with you to do a certain amount of research within on campus. Every institution around the country and overseas, globally, they are encouraging students to come out with innovative ideas in this current situation. And they're all coming up with newer products. One very, because this is again as I told you in the beginning, it's from a parental experience as well. One of the experiences that I have as a parent, and I'm very proud of that fact, is in University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. They have designed during this pandemic time, they have designed a COVID testing method called the saliva test, and which has received approval from the federal government in the United States of America, which is to be practiced as one of the testing methods in the US market, officially cleared. So this is done by the students. This is done by the students of University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So similarly, that's one experience that I have. I'm sure universities other than many other universities in the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, India, I've seen professors from PS University in India being aggressive and very supportive to our students in the engineering domain to come up with newer ideas during this period. And people have coming up with different product designs, because PES has a product design department. So the reason I have seen is because I've seen a few students design apparels, furnitures, technology gadgets, which are to the current requirement of the people, current requirement of the situation. So this is how universities are geared up. Universities want you. Governments want you. Consulate offices expect you to come over and invest your time and money into an academic environment. So wherever we are, whatever age group we belong to, define how we're going to progress ourselves in the future, because I am sure we will see 2022. This is a prediction after a lot of assessment and understanding and talking to various professors. I've had an opportunity to speak to one of the professors from Northeastern University, and Professor Steve. So he was mentioning to me the kind of situation that the universities are prepared for today to welcome students. Both the campuses as well as the way they have delivered they plan to deliver the program. Everything has been equipped with ensuring that their seating positions are also at a socially distanced setup. So this is going to be the future of our world, and I think it's very important for us to be ready to face. Otherwise, we will be left behind. This will be one of those earlier times. I'm sure some of us we would have faced through this when a lot of us opposed. A lot of the people opposed to computing systems in the late or the early 90s or the mid 90s. I think if you've seen, a lot of them opposed to it. I've even seen walls painted on the Penia stretch, because that was one of my initial approaches to in the 1994. They're saying, say no to computers. I've seen it at that time. Say no to computers because this is taking away human job. I'm sure all that person who's painted that on the wall that day is probably sending his son or child or a grandchild for a computing education today. This should be our focus for tomorrow. So while we do so, engage ourselves into a progressive tomorrow, so that we are well equipped to face whatever is kept in stock, what we don't know what is kept in stock for us in our future. So with this, I think I will come to the end of my talk. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to share my views and my opinions about the current situation in the world market. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rotarians.
Thank you, Santosh. I'd like to throw open the floor for questions from fellow Rotarians.
Yes.
Do we have any guests, Gargi?
No. So far not. Swarup, is there anyone?
No, we have no guests.
All right. Questions, please.
Yeah. I have a question for Santosh.
Yes, Ms. Kari.
That is, you see, basically I'm a communication person, and most of my working years I've already spent in the media industry. Now, you see, as you said, a very commonly used word now we have been hearing is upskilling. Now, since nothing much is happening otherwise, you upskill yourself. So that's the best way to offer a solution probably to your client. When you work on a strategy, you can offer something totally different and new, which will probably interest them to come on board. But what is happening, say the situation is so dull, and if I may say, the business is not really going anywhere. Like there's a huge drop of 30, 40, 50% of business volume. So in a situation like that, do you think any kind of upskilling or any kind of a new innovation or new proposal that is going to work out? Because today's kids are much more worried than anybody else. Say experienced people, at least you know where you stand and where you can go from there. Maybe opportunities are far and few, but still you know. But these kids who have no experience or probably just about a year or so they have worked, they are really apprehensive as to where they are going to go. So what is your take on that? I mean, how do you really offer a solution, or what is your thought process on this?
That is the reality today, Gargi. I think very well said. This is some very common situation that I see, and it pains when you see the level of depression the younger generations are going through. Because I'm not talking about if a student is in about 55 percent or as a lower academic profile, they are street smart. They just know what to do. So they are not worried about it. The challenges of a student who's actually given all their, guts out, trying to sit and listen to everything that their mentors, their parents, their situations have brought down. Today, they suddenly say, I have a 9 GPA, but nobody wants me. And then they refuse to step out of their rooms. And so I've been addressing such situations, and it pains to see such a thing. But the only encouraging factor that I can tell them is, you have to find a talent to learn something further. Now, it could be, I'm sure, you being in the media and communications domain, we have a lot of technologists who are graduating out of our institutions, who are technically very smart, but they're not good in documentation. That's a support skill that is required in tomorrow's industry. So today, that you can create. I've had an experience while I've been in process engineering, and this is a very, very old. I'm sure the current generation also is something very similar. You may not find this much in Bangalore, but just a little outside Bangalore, this is very prevalent. You'll see students. I've had an experience where I can't name the client and the customer here on a public forum, but then I've had a customer from Singapore, and Singaporean customers, I'm sure a lot of us know, are very, very demanding because their expectations are very high in terms of perfection. So while we were working with one of these customer, Monday morning was supposed to be a meeting time where they engage and ask for the current situations, and after briefing my team, bringing them into a certain understanding and getting the confidence, we used to get into a meeting, and the Singaporean customer used to come online and then just scream their lungs out, asking for why this is not done and why this error is happening. And that was very, very delicate systems because they were working on certain panel engineering. So after listening to all that thing, as a team leader or as a junior manager during that period, I used to address that from a relationship point of view, but did not know the technique, the technology that they were working on, the concerns that is there in the technical side. So I used to try and collect all this data and come back to them, reduce the fire level, and then after the meeting is over, I used to call these boys that I'm all fresh grads, and I used to call these boys, and half of them were not comfortable. So I used to say, why is this not done? And immediate response is Panir kene sir in Tamil. Panir kene sir. That means I've already done it. So if you've done it, why didn't you mention this? Oh, sir, I did not understand what the gentleman was saying in the local communication. So here we have a whole lot of amazing talent, and they're from this set of students were from an engineering school in Madurai. So very similar to that, I see students coming from BCTs, CCTs, and even within Bangalore, it's not about language communication, it's about documentation. So skill yourselves, upskill yourself in terms of foreign language, upskill yourselves in terms of communication, documentation, some amount of things that can complement your technical skill, which is mandatory in today's, and this is the only time that they can get to get into such an engagement. If I've answered your question.
Yeah, to some extent probably, but like that insecurity is so palpable amongst them that I feel sometime instead of telling them go and study and appear for the competitive exam, rather than doing that, they should be probably giving some kind of a psychological, like how to handle the whole situation. It is impacting them very badly, very badly.
I agree with you. This is a kind of a current situation which the young generation is facing, because it's affecting them badly, because they are not able to engage. The moment they come out, the senior generation is talking about, okay, so what are you doing now? They don't want to hear that bit. They don't want to hear a question, and a question, according to them, the question hits their mind as, you're accusing me of I'm not doing anything. You're right, Ms. Gargi. So, which is why we will need. I'm using this platform. I'm sure we are speaking to a lot of experienced people listening here, to communicate to them, not as a questionable or as a put and drop a question into their mind, but give them some kind of an encouragement or a solution. Than asking them a question, give them a suggestion. The suggestion could be constructive areas where they would enjoy working in these environments. Yeah. So if you see through Indian Institute of Science from the science profile, and if you look at certain large scale retail outlets and different technologies, all of these places, technology, retail, business, they're all welcoming the young graduates. It's just the fact that it is not satisfying their remuneration expectation. It is welcoming them. It is keeping them occupied. So as long as we can take them a little behind that remuneration factor and tell them it's all right, spend your time, it's okay. It may not be as remunerating as you are expecting it to be. But if that can work today, I think they will be fantastic professionals in the future. Just to cite another very personal example, I'm telling this, Swaroop also knows this gentleman whom I'm going to refer to. My brother-in-law, Dr. Jeffrey Anthony, as soon as he finished his medical degree from John's Medical College, got into a rural employment and had to be working in a rural hospital at a time when he was getting about 1,500 rupees per month. When he started comparing it with his engineering grad friends who were probably working in Dell with about 35,000 rupees salary, it was a very, very difficult situation to convince him to maintain his mental calmness at 1,500 rupees versus a comparison of 30,000 rupees. I've seen this about 15 years ago. When today he is one of leading doctors, a cardiologist in the UK, and he is a director of Coventry Hospital in the UK. After the kind of time and effort that he has spent, that level of patience, if we can afford to control within our younger generation, I think there is a space out for all of us.
Great example. Patience.
I have a comment on that.
Yes, sir.
It's a typical, my name is Shivdev.
Yes, sir.
It's a typical, what he just said, what the doctor's example, brother-in-law's example. It's a typical case of a too fast, too soon, too young. This is what has happened. Then they level out and then they...
Absolutely right, Shiv.
Yeah. Okay, and at some point in time, they level off, and that's when the problems start. They can't go beyond a point. Call centers and all these PPOs and all these things.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what has happened with the IT revolution.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Fully agree with you. Yes.
You look at some of these campus interviews which were happening, say, probably 2-3 years back, and kind of packages offered there. Now it's kind of like nobody can believe that, okay, no chance. First of all, the clients are not coming. And secondly, if they are coming, they are saying, okay, look, this is what we have to offer. So you do that. So like Shiv said, it's absolutely correct. They got spoiled, if I may use the word. So it's very difficult for them, their generation, to accept this.
And I run a small business, and whatever little recruitment that we do, I've noticed people come from fancy organizations with appointment letters having fancy salaries. I can't pay you so much. But anyway, they're desperate for a job. They come and join me. One week down the line, I'd be shocked beyond belief. Those fellows can't communicate properly. How they were being paid so much by moderate companies. I'm not talking about MNCs and big corporates. So it's very, very peculiar situation here. And one last comment, like you said about the doctors, even lawyers today who come up who graduate and join law offices. Not all law officers pay them very well. In the long run, that's why lawyers make more money than, they're financially as successful or even more successful than any other profession. So the growth cycle is very slow and very gradual. Whereas these upstarts, that's what happens after that. Sorry, I finished.
Yeah, I'd like to bring this another point as a forum that I'd like to bring it to your notice without names of the institution is. It's only in India that we are banking a lot on the so-called placement. So some of the institutions in India are paying the placement officers more than the faculty, because they are on target based on their relationships with the corporate market. Now, that's so unfortunate, because the placement officer is not at all worried about what the student wants. The placement officer is worried about how he can keep his career by filling up the 100% job placements. Now, one such story that I'd like to bring it to your light without naming the institution is an institution goes into the northeast of India and markets for its student to get into admissions. And it so happens that the institution has the confidence, if I may use, to give an offer letter along with that is a job offer letter along with the admission letter. Can you believe this? A student getting an admission into an undergraduate school gets an offer letter from an assurance of an offer letter from the institution to bring that student to India. I'm sorry, to bring that student to Bangalore. Sorry to use a word, from Northeast. So the student comes. I have this typical example. It's a case study. I have the student who came from the Northeast for a bachelor in microbiology. The student completed the degree, but the offer letter also has a certain condition that you should have a 75% attendance, you should have internal marks, you should have a lot of ifs and buts, terms and conditions. The student met all the terms and conditions. Unfortunately, the student, as we've expected, he comes from the Northeast and he does not have the communication. So this is where the bridge comes. So he doesn't have the right kind of communication to present it. So the school also has made its effort to present the CV like the way it is supposed to be tutored to present it to the corporate firm. But this boy somewhere was failing. Intellectually a good child, but somewhere failing through the whole process, met the 75% attendance requirement, everything. So the school's responsibility was to give an offer. So the school tried to give them an offer, sent him for interviews, unfortunately didn't clear the interviews. Finally, the student, anyway, the institution has given them a guaranteed offer, right? So a BSc microbiology student gets placed in HSBC Bank in a call center environment working for this because they have guaranteed him a placement. Can you believe this exercise? Now, this is a typical case study that I have been working on. It's so painful. The boy has no clue because his parents do not know what microbiology is in Northeast. His parents do not know what HSBC Bank is in Bangalore. His parents are saying, okay, usko kaam mil gaya. But the boy is unable to deliver it to the parent because they have sold a land or borrowed the money from the neighbors and then invested in his education. So this is a typical thing of a placement. wherever from class 8, 9, 10, and wherever possible, please tell our students, please tell our youngsters not to bank on the placements. It's your own intelligence that you find an internship, the internship develops into a progressive placement, and the placement gives you an offer. That is the best way to get in. I think that's why we are all probably slightly more solid, because we didn't have that kind of placement guarantees. So the younger generation is very soft in this experiment, because they're expecting that to be spoon fed into their system. All that is there in their mind. Sometimes we've also driven them. We've sent them. We've told them. This is another example. We've told them in class 9th and 10th, but beta, bacha, acha pad lo, study well. 11th and 12th tuition ke liye jao, study well, and after that life ban gaye. Your life is done. The student studies, gets an admission, studies hard for 11th and 12th, gets into a so-called dream institution, and realizes that that their journey is done. Now it is the responsibility of the institution to place them. And then the performance goes down south. So if I've seen students, if you've seen through an undergrad student, the first 2 years, their grades are terrible, because they've realized that, I've gotten here. Now it is the responsibility of the institution to take me forward. I'm not making an effort right now. And they move out of that domain and suddenly realize, now I'm nowhere. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm taking away. This is a very, very lengthier discussion, so I've taken longer than approved. Yeah. So
I think it's become a vicious circle.
I know.
One last question, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Just before, since nobody has asked a question, I thought I will take the opportunity to ask one question.
Sure, sir.
Why can't the institutions provide, I would say life skills, survival skills, life skills, in terms of, make the student a little more savvy. The guy lands up in a country like UK, the guys are literally untouchables. The guys who go to Australia, they're getting bullied. These kinds of experiences we have seen on and off. So institutions, can't they provide a basic skilling to make sure that they can handle all these and some kind of
strong personality.
To build some strong confidence in the student, so they can handle life without getting too much stressed. Basically, half the guys don't know whether this is happening only to them. Half the kids don't know whether these harassments are happening only to them. And if they realize that it's common to everybody, then they'll take it a little more lightly. This is something which.
True, sir. Very, very, very true. I have I've felt this, and I have had a consortium. I've actually built a consortium of senior professionals within my own circle of contacts, and we've all come forward. And another experience that I can tell you right now, can't name the institution. I've taken the approval of all these people who have volunteered to come forward to mentor students free of cost. I'm using the word free of cost. No money involved, no money. It's only honorary exercise that these senior professionals have volunteered. And people who are from people who are worth some 300, 400 crores worth professionals who've had rich experience, 20, 30 years of experience, who volunteered to mentor students, because I went up to an institution and presented a platform to them and said, there is an offering to start the student, to adopt the children from the orientation day, to tell them how to connect, not to have backlogs, work with them till the 4 years. So after listening to my, I think 45 minutes of my session with the placement officer and one of the director of the institution, finally they say, sir, AICT and thing doesn't permit us to give this many hours of time that you're asking for in the academic forum. So you are most welcome to advertise this. Take these students outside the campus and do what you feel like. They are not wanting to include this as a part of the academic curriculum because, unfortunately, the technical board and controllers board doesn't permit them to invest this number of hours in a campus program. So if a student goes back tomorrow and complains that I'm being tortured to sit in the class for this long, they are not able to accommodate it in their regular academic calendar. It's very unfortunate. So I'm still working on it. But if not the strong curriculum, we are making a lighter note and a lighter program and trying to use this with the help of the consortium. It's a very, very good suggestion, and I think it should be followed by all of us. Yes.
Thank you, Santosh. May I now invite Venkat, Rotarian Venkatraman, to come and propose the vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Ravi. I am, really honored to present the vote of thanks to a pioneer in this area of, of skilling people, upskilling people, and the so-called finishing school kind of concept. Because just being literate is not enough. Being ready to take on the world, being ready to take on the corporate world, or even being ready to take on the entrepreneurial world, I think needs a bit of preparation. So I definitely bow and my hats off to people who are in this finishing school kind of space, because I think apart from all the 20 to 21 years of education, I think that 6-month or 1-year program, part-time program of guiding people harness their energies and their plus points, I think makes a phenomenal amount of difference. So I, take my hats off to Santosh and his consortium that he has put together. There were a few wonderful points that I was able to note down from Mr. Santosh's talk. One is that there is no lack of talent, but there is a lack of skilled talent. So I think that's extremely well put, because the skill requirements are changing. They're extremely dynamic. 10 years ago, we used to see one development or a forklift every 4 or 5 years. Now we see a forklift every 2 months. So the rate at which people need to upskill, reskill, and cross-skill has really gone up. So while there are a lot of online and virtual platforms, I think bodies like, organizations like Rotary, we do play a small part. We have career counseling programs. We have a little bit of upskilling kind of programs. I think we all need to focus a little more. Your talk definitely has opened our eyes in this area. I also figured that you're not an educator, but you are an evangelist, because I think you've gone to the foundation, you've gone to the core of the issue, where I think the focus has to be on attitude and culture more than anything else. The children need very good attitude to take on the world. You are focusing on that area, and we are very thankful that you're looking at that. I also gathered 2 more points that we need to really look ahead. We must not get cocooned and just think of this 1 year, what will happen to me and stuff like that. People have to start thinking ahead. People have to talk to their children to start thinking ahead, because I think if there is really a drastic change and improvement that we are going to see, it is from the youth. So it's extremely important. Thank you for that point. Last but not the least, I think more than the children today, parents need counseling. They need a little bit of skilling when it comes to parenting in this time, in this pandemic era. So that was my take and parting line. We are truly grateful to you, Santosh, for speaking about this wonderful topic. I wish, we have a lot of passionate Rotarians. Unfortunately, today we don't have a very large crowd, but all that you have communicated will definitely be disseminated to the rest of our colleagues. Thank you very much again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Very, very suitable. Thank you.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Venkat. I formally close the 43rd meeting of Rotary Cantonment. You guys are welcome to stay on.
Santosh, thank you. My daughter is also studying abroad. She's in a design school in Singapore.
Ah, nice. Is that the NAFA?
She is with LaSalle College of the Arts.
Oh, wow. Amazing school.
She was very clear. To be very honest, it's not just the parents, but the schools also need a little bit of counseling. She was not getting a day's holiday from her school, which is a very demanding, I don't want to take the name, but a lousy school, 50-year-old school. They were not giving her a day's off to prepare for her interviews at LaSalle. But she said, I don't care. And she bunked it. She worked days and nights together to get into that college. I think these children, they know what they want. They just need a little bit of prodding and a little bit of help. So I completely relate to a lot of things that you mentioned today.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you, Santosh. Very nice talk, actually.
Excellent speech, Santosh. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, guys. I think it was great meeting you all. Looking forward to meeting you all again sometime in the future. Right?
Thank you.